Hello and welcome to the 6 Months to Six Figures series of the Double Your Freelancing podcast. I'm your host, Zach Swinehart, and in this series, you will follow a specific freelancer, in this case, Maia, as I coach her from early stages to earning a six-figure annual income. Broken down, $100,000 a year comes out to $8,333 a month, and the challenge is to see how quickly we can get Maia to that monthly income. And I'm trying to think how long it actually was. So we're actually shooting this intro episode after the whole 6 months is done. And for November, I'm shooting this on December 4th, after the 6 months. For November, Maia hit 14K in gross income. So I'm trying to think, Maia, when was your first $8,333 month? Do you remember?
Yes, I think it was in October. It was like a whoa month.
Okay. So that was, I think the first session with you is May 24th. So that's like 5-ish months is when you officially hit that six-figure goal. So we beat our goal. We were aiming to get you there within 6. We got you there within 5. Awesome. Well, alas, let me resume this intro. So in this series, Maia and I will connect every week or two, and it'll follow basically the same format as the one-on-one live coaching sessions within the DYF Accelerator community. So if you are ever listening and you find yourself saying, oh no, it'd be so cool to have Zach coach me like that, you can totally have Zach coach you like that. And you can learn more at dyf.link/DYFA. And before we dive into this intro episode, I just wanted to kind of set the stage. Basically, the reason I started this series was that I noticed there were a couple people in the community, Maia was one, Brad was another, who were really, really engaged and showed up very consistently. And others in the community who would join have a lot of steam at first and then kind of peter out. And I feel like that's probably the biggest thing that makes somebody successful versus not, is just starting and not stopping. And I think, Maia, you've been a really great example of that. Very, very coachable. You joined, you do the homework that I give you, you show up every week, and you've just been kicking ass. And so I decided it'd be cool if we could kind of follow along with them, because when Maia first started, she was very poised for huge success, but kind of struggling. Tell me if I'm overstepping. Maybe you don't think you were struggling. But,
absolutely struggling.
And I think it'll be fun for you to watch. Maia did have one, what we call an unfair advantage, which is she was naturally poised to do well on Instagram. But what you'll notice is that in her first proper coaching session, which you'll see next week, she was wanting to get off of Instagram, I think. Do I remember correctly, Maia, that initially you were fuck this Instagram thing, I want to go elsewhere. And I was no, just spend more time and track it. And that was the biggest first milestone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And so nonetheless, with this series, you'll basically get the chance to watch as Maia goes from her early stages. Do you have it down, Maia, what you earned in May of 2023?
Yeah, I can tell you right now. In May, I made 3,737, but I've been already going to the accelerated sessions for 2 months. And that's when you told me, stop scaffolding, don't focus on your website, do 5 hours of marketing a week. And that really changed everything. So before that, which was February, March, April, I made around 1,600.
Well, I think I don't get to take credit for May, because I have it down in my notes that your very first accelerator session, or your very first office hours anyway, was May 24th. And then our first proper 6 months to six figures was July 5th. And that July 5th is when you were starting to do well. But for May, you can take credit for 3/4 of that one without Zach's advice, I think.
Yeah. Because I'm seeing here, I booked here in May, I have 2 clients that I booked one-on-one on Instagram. And that was after saying okay, I need to be on Instagram. I need to pitch one-on-one. So that was after you told me no scaffolding, no website.
Oh, okay.
And
so what was your pre-May 24th May revenue?
It was I just was saying it this morning, and it was about 2,000, 3,000 max, but it was all branding. It was all design and branding. And from May onwards, now it's been maybe 3/4 of coaching, consulting. So that's huge.
Awesome. And what was your April gross income?
April was 1,954. No,
Cool.
wait, that's not even it because I have, so it was 1,954. That's it. I
Awesome.
had no contractors, I had no expenses other than like website and stuff. So that was all pocket money. I
Okay,
didn't have a
awesome.
team then.
So that means that over the course of this series, someone's going to essentially see you go from $2,000 a month to $14,000 a month.
Yeah,
And
insane.
from today, you're poised to be launching a course soon. You have coaching client, like you have so many different paths available to you to go next. And that's what's really exciting. So that's a nice tease for the intro. Let me see if I have anything else I wanted to tell you, dear listener, in this intro. No, I don't have anything else to tell you. So let's jump into today's recap episode. So basically, I'm going to talk to Maia about her pathway into freelancing, kind of set the stage of where she was before we started, her biggest learning lessons, takeaways, challenges, that sort of thing that she's encountered over these past 6 months. So it's almost like that final episode of Seinfeld where they play like that Green Day song, the something unpredictable, but in the end it's right song, and everyone's like teary and then they do the thing, except this happens at the very beginning. And we'll probably have it at the end too. So without further ado, I will cut into today's actual intro episode. So as we covered a minute ago, when you started, you were doing you weren't doing 2K a month on average because that was like your best month prior to starting.
Yeah.
It sounds like, to catch people up, like the TLDR of your story. How old are you right now? Even
28.
28. Okay. So you grew up in Venezuela. You went to school for a semester in New York. You dropped out of college, got a design job at an agency. We'll have you go in a little more detail, but got a design gig at an agency mostly based on your design skills and portfolio and attitude. Worked at the agency for 4 years. Is that right? Okay. Worked at the agency for 4 years, took a sabbatical. During that sabbatical, you went to India and Nepal for 1 year. Then you came back from that sabbatical in earnest, started your blank page business post sabbatical because you're running out of money. And that was like January 2023. And then you and I started in earnest late May. And then like now here we are. Those are like kind of the cliff notes. So let's talk a little bit about like 2023 until now to kind of paint the picture. Do you know what your gross income so far in total for 2023 is? I think you said it's about $50,000. Yeah.
This year I have made $60,187.
All right. So to give you, dear listener, a picture of Maia's journey, Maia and I basically just now went off the recording and assembled all the numbers. So like, here's the rapid fire TikTok version of Maia's income. So after her sabbatical, she came back and started Blank Page in January of 2023. Today is December 4th. The 6-month, 6-figure series technically ended on November 24th. So we're like a week late to do this recap episode. Here's the rapid fire. January 2023, income was about 2K. February, 1,400. This is all US dollars. March, 600. April, 1,600. May, 3,700, which I get to take credit for because most of that was after her accelerator or her office hours that she joined late May. June, 2,900. July, 5,228. August, 3,266, so 3,200-ish. September, about 5K. October, about 8K. November, about 14K. Maia, when did you first, if you can remember, when did you first start taking on staff expenses?
That was in August.
August. Okay. So Maia and I were trying to do margins. It's a little bit difficult with the way she bills because she's essentially paying her team a month later for the work that they did on like the previous month's clients, and her clients pay her in intervals. But what I can tell you is this. So you said August is when you started working with the team? So something Maia and I will dig into on today's episode that's a really interesting development I want you to kind of pay attention to is that when her and I first started, pretty much all of her income came from branding projects. But as she's moved forward, more of her income has come from...
Sorry guys, I'm in Mexico.
The fuck is that?
Just give it a second, I'm in Mexico. That was it.
What even was that?
They're selling shit on the street. Classic Mexico.
Okay, I'll just cut that out. Or maybe we'll leave it. I don't know. Maybe we'll leave it. Anyway, I'm marking random background noise. So that's another fun fact for you, listener, if you're hearing this, is that Maia has been a digital nomad for the series. So every week you'll get to hear one random weird sound and you'll get to have one random weird internet dropout. So enjoy that as it comes. Okay, so Maia started working with a team in August, you said. Yeah? Cool. So her and I were doing the cost factoring, and basically from August forward, you can assume that probably, well, it does vary, but a certain amount of her income is going to be branding projects that are essentially at a 25% staff cost. So for example, if she had $10,000 worth of branding work, 7,500 of it would go into her pocket, 2,500 would go to the team. Gets a little bit more difficult because she's doing a lot of coaching now, and the coaching work is like 100% profit. All right, so Maia and I again went off camera. So of the 13,454, so about 14K for November, about 2,000 of that was from coaching clients. So that's like 100% margin for Maia's 2K. And then the remaining 12-ish K has a 25% cost. So that means that 9,000 of that goes into Maia's pocket, and then the 2,000 from her other clients. So that means we also got you to the 6 months to six figures in your pocket. We did that. We accomplished both goals in this series. Wow. Amazing. Cool. So, so that's kind of Maia's breakdown to get you guys up to speed. So with that said, so that's really exciting. So Maia, at this point, that means that, what did we say? We said 11,000. So with your monthly income as it is now, you're going to be on track to have a take home pay of 130,000-ish, assuming your income doesn't go up, which obviously it will if you continue to get coaching. I mean, it'll go up anyway. I know it will. Regardless of whether or not you continue to get coaching, it'll go up. And something also noteworthy that Maia set off the recording is that for December and January, she'll have $8,739 a month come in for both of those months, even if she doesn't get any new clients, because she's due that revenue for the 5 projects she onboarded this month. So that's a cool factor as well. And over the course of the series, you'll see her rates go up and the scope go up, and we kind of workshop how she should handle her like project pacing and schedule and that kind of thing. So with the kind of timeline of income sorted out, let's look at where you were when you first started. So in like 2 minutes, let's get the little backstory. So you going from being like going to school. So you went from Venezuela, went to university in New York, dropped out for 6 months. Let's take it from there to getting your first design gig, working at the agency, and then quitting. Like, if you were to give me the 2-minute soundbite version of that whole thing, what would it be?
So I go to New York. I hate school. I hated doing assignments and paying for assignments. I wanted to get paid. So I quit in my like first-ish semester, second semester and a half. And then I started working at a print shop for peanuts, but I really liked the graphic design part. And I started building a portfolio because we were working for Adidas, Nike, we were doing like environmental design. So I built up my portfolio. I built up my design skills with them because they taught me a lot of Illustrator, and I had to like Google a lot of like the shit that I was doing. And then I quit, and like, I think I worked there for like 4 months. And then I applied for a job called Creator Deck. It was my first job. And it was amazing. And I went to the office and I told the girls, Catelyn, my boss, I told her I don't really have a lot of experience. I do have a portfolio. I dropped out of school. I hated school, but I'm really passionate about what you guys are doing. I went in to do the branding for them, and they hired me just for a gig for branding. And then they ended up hiring me full-time to work there. And it was an agency, and we worked for L'Oreal clients, like Yves Saint Laurent, Giorgio Armani, like really big L'Oreal clients. And I really learned how to do agency work. And I was there for 4 months, 4 years, 2 years in New York. I was living in Brooklyn. And then the other 2 years I moved to Berlin, and I started doing remote work, which really allowed me to see like remote agency life. And the other year I was living in between Mexico and Rio de Janeiro. And that really allowed me to like see how agencies work pretty much.
And if you hadn't taken that job at the print shop, like, Like, what were your design skills like pre-print shop job?
Mhm. I'm gonna say I was really creative. I had great ideas, but I had a hard time executing them on Illustrator, Photoshop, and everything because I didn't know how to use them.
Mm.
And at the print shop, it was like I would come up with concepts and ideas, and then I learned how to execute them. Whereas in school, it was like, imagine you had this client, and it's like, no, I want the client.
Yeah.
So at the print shop, I really built up my skills with print, which was super important for me. Print, and it's still like my number one passion. And Illustrator, they taught me how to do a lot and work with like die lines and see like outlines and all that horrible stuff. So it was there that I like learned my design skill.
Cool. And something you and I were talking about in the pre-interview was how for both of us, we think that having like, rather than someone trying to just become a freelancer out of nothing, it's usually like the shortcut to work at an agency or work some sort of day job where you're honing your skills and getting to see a hopefully successful business, like a successful agency in action. And so that was something you said you want to make sure we noted here, is that your time at the agency really set you up for fast success with freelancing, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And this is what I always tell my mentoring clients. It's like you need, and I call it a bridge job because I think it's cool to see it as a bridge job instead of like, oh, I'm going to be stuck here forever. Like work at a place that it's going to take you, like something that has something to do with what you want to do in the future. Learn how to do it, be the best, excel, and then build your own thing. But you need to be inside an agency to build an agency. Like maybe not, but that was really helped me.
Something I thought was cool in my interview with Jesse from Bento that I've seen as a trend, and certainly with my type of personality, I tend to gravitate towards it, and I don't know if you do, is that Jesse was kind of like an everything person at his day job. He like did all sorts of marketing stuff. He had a lot of agency to like explore what he thought would be cool to pursue. Whereas like when I worked at my agency job as a developer, I was like very confined. They didn't want me to do my stupid creative Zach ideas. I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we blah, 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 blah. They're like, no, dude, you are here to copy and paste HTML, and that is all you do here. What was your agency situation on that spectrum of like creative, like try new stuff versus rigidly copy and paste HTML?
All hats. We were 12 people in the beginning. The agency grew to like 40 people because they really honed into influencer marketing. And back in the day, it didn't exist. So I was designing boxes and coming up with really cool unboxing experiences for influencers, huge influencers. And they let me research, talk to the vendors, like, hey, maybe we put this like perfume, maybe we put this like confetti, maybe we do it sustainable, and having to like research the company and having to like really, it was really that they would approve my concepts. And until they didn't have more designers, I was doing everything. Their websites, all their pitch decks, everything internal. And I loved it because it was, my first like big girl job. So.
And if you were giving someone like your opinion or advice or whatever on evaluating a bridge job, let's say it from the standpoint of like evaluating one you're already at, because I think that's the one that is the most interesting. You know, going out and getting the ideal bridge job is one thing, but suppose you're at one already and you're like not wondering if it's good. How important for a bridge job do you think it is that you have a lot of that creative flexibility versus like the Zach one where I'm just there copying, pasting HTML, but I'm still immersed in the environment? Like when you look at the value, do you think it's mostly the creative flexibility, or it's just getting to see the thing regardless?
I'd say 50-50, but it really depends. Like if I was going to give an advice, and this is also what I tell my mentees, is like, get a job that the number one rule is you are allowed to grow. There's space for growth. Corporate doesn't really have that space to grow. It's like you're in your cubicle and you're just like banging the keyboard. But for example, for you, I think it's amazing that you did that because you really specialize in web design. You do it and you do it so well, probably because you worked on it specifically. So if someone's like, they want to launch their own like web design thing, why do you need to be designing boxes? But for me, since I have an agency that is a bit more holistic, I think it was really great for me to do all the creative stuff and also say like, I don't want to do print. I don't like it. I don't want to do influencer marketing. Doesn't, sparks me joy. So things like that. It's good to try on all the hats to know what you don't want to do.
And that's my inclination too. Even if somebody thinks they want to be a developer, I mean, like a lot of what we teach at DYF is going down the productization route and problem solving route. And the thing is, if you are employed as, say, a developer, you don't get the opportunity to like test solving problems because you're only allowed to do your code. Whereas if you start to hypothesize a service offering where you're like, ooh, I could start freelancing and have XYZ thing be my service offering, it would be so cool if you could actually test that with your day job agency clients. And if they were just like, dude, you're just here to bang a keyboard, you wouldn't get the opportunity for that. So I'd say, sounds like Maya and I are both saying, if possible, if you're looking for a bridge job, one where it's like a smaller, maybe more lean company where you have the ability to wear more hats, it sounds like that's what we both recommend. Is that right,
Absolutely. Maya? Yeah. And something that I forgot to mention, but was super important. When I was living in New York, I was dating a musician and he had all these musician friends that needed, they were like, oh, so you're a designer, design my album, design my cover, design my this and that. And that's when I started like micro testing, working one-on-one with clients and doing like my side thing. And I was earning nothing, obviously, because they were my friends. But then they would reference me to like other musicians and stuff. And even like designing flyers, even designing these little things and like practicing having a client, sending a contract, doing all those things that like when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, it was just so amateur. But that's how you start. You can't just jump out of like the agency model and be like, okay, I'm going to book my first 2K client. It's like, you have to practice it on the back. You have to practice not so much like having your own clients, but like saying, I'm a freelancer. You know, I do this. I get paid for designing things for people outside of my day job.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, so fast forward 4 years later, how do you feel ready to quit? And it sounds like you did you decide to take the sabbatical after you had quit, or did you quit knowing you would take the sabbatical before starting your agency?
It was after, because I was working remotely pre-pandemic, like since 2018. I was living in Rio de Janeiro and I was working. I was like, okay, so I could have my own thing like this. It's 2018, 2021. That is when I quit. I felt super ready, super ready. I feel like there was a ceiling. Like I already did everything I wanted to do at the agency, and I quit. And I just moved out of Berlin. And I said, I want to go to Nepal. I want to go to India. And as soon as I got to Nepal, like I was still working with like my first like freelance clients that were friends and stuff. And then I went to an ashram that is an Indian temple, and I deleted WhatsApp. I deleted Instagram for almost a year. And then I said, I don't want to be doing any of this technological stuff. I want to like focus on myself, understand what I want. And if I always say this, like if I ate all my savings, that's like the bad part. But thank God that I worked at an agency for 4 years and saved that. But that was the moment that I said, okay, if I didn't do that, I would feel very burnt out. And I would feel like I imitated exactly the agency that I had and would have done it myself. And that's not what I want at all. So that year really allowed me, doesn't have to be a year, but like taking like 2-3 months to not work and just focus on yourself and understand, how do I want to replicate my job differently? Like, what do I want to create for my life? How can I create something that gives me freedom? That was super important for me. Super important.
And it also strikes me that it laid the groundwork for what ended up being your marketing strategy with your agency anyway. Because
absolutely,
Maia was telling me that like basically the secret to Instagram success is posting lifestyle content, and that it's like kind of a requirement. And she was able to do that with this transition thing. I would say for me, if I were prescribing somebody a recommendation, it would be to like be side hustling while at your day job and then quit once you can pay it off, versus doing what Maia did. Like what you did sounds scary to me. Like living off of savings, starting a new thing, I would be scared and stressed. But I'm glad it worked out.
It did, but at a point I was like, when it ran out of money, like that was all 2021, that I was like, oh yeah, oh Namah Shivaya, you know. But when it was December and I saw my savings like hit really low, I was like, okay, maybe I have to like start working next year.
And then that was January 2023 that you were like, all right, now I will be a human in the world.
Downloading Instagram, downloaded WhatsApp.
Okay. All right. So that means that over the course of this year, you've gone through this huge transformation. And as people see on the early episodes, like one of the early things was getting you kind of in the headspace of like, oh, this is going to be a lot of work. And getting yourself adapted. Like I think on our first coaching sessions, you were wanting to ideally not work more than like 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
And we ended up having to table that a little bit while you build, and then you can pull back later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about where you were when you started with me in the accelerator.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's just weigh up from the stance of like, so we talked about financially already. So like in terms of your landscape of your business, what were your like struggles and emotional state, let's say?
So let's go, January, February, March, living in Morocco. I was pretty much like, I didn't even know where to start. I knew I had to make money because I had like 6K in my bank account, legit, for my life. And I was like, I didn't have Instagram. I didn't know if I wanted to even be on Instagram and like promote my business there. I had a huge, like, I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have Instagram in my life. And I was feeling so lost because I didn't know if I should start with my newsletter or my website or case studies. I didn't have a team. Like, it just felt like I had so many things that I joined the accelerator, and I didn't even show up for like 3 months because I was just so overwhelmed. And I was like, I don't know where to start. Like, I didn't know. I was just trying everything and just like throwing, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think it took me literally sending you a direct email because I was like, she seems so excited. Now I like literally never saw her. What is even the deal to get you in there? So how did you figure out, because when you came to your first office hours, you had gotten a little bit of traction. As I said, you were thinking of abandoning it, but nonetheless, you had gotten it. You had gotten your first client from Instagram. So where/how did you even learn how to do that? How to get to that point?
I think I started like posting more about India. So in February I was in India, and I started posting like more about India, and I saw that people were like, "Oh, hello, long time. What's up?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, this and that." And I would mention my studio, and then I started like on one-on-one, and then I started getting more and more confident to like share a bit of like behind the scenes, but it would be like a laptop photo with like design and like super far away. And I think also something that really helped is that I always kept, like, when I didn't have Instagram, I always kept my magazine, Colectiva magazine. It's my magazine of like self-knowledge tools and practices. And at the end, I always said, like, it's a beautifully designed, super editorial magazine. And I'd say at the end, designed by Blank Page Lab. And I think the first 2 clients that I got in February were because of Colectiva, because I was posting Colectiva designs on Instagram. And I was like, whoa, okay, I can book clients on Instagram without having to be like, typeface that I like, 10 ways that I which I hated.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a really cool thing to see from you is just like, I remember when I went to your Instagram profile for the first time, I was like, is this even the right profile? Because when I scroll through your newsfeed, like, I don't see anything about your agency. Yeah, like it doesn't feel like I'm being advertised to, but it sounds like the thing that ended up working really well is that you use your did I just call it a newsfeed? Shows how little I know about Instagram. Your wall, your timeline. I think it's a timeline, but you use only stories for like air quotes promoting your design services. Is that right?
Yes, one-on-one.
And so like the typical Instagram funnel in air quotes that you do now, it's essentially you'll post a story saying something about your business, maybe a win for a client, a behind the scenes, whatever, and then someone will like it, and then you'll reach out to them and chat. Or what's the like quote funnel usually look like?
I say, if you're interested, send me a message, and the messages come. And it's very low key. Like I try to always like show people the behind the scenes, and then at the end say like, we're booking January and beyond. Schedule an intro call, send me a message. Normally messages work more, and then that's in the DMs when they inquire is when I say, okay, these are my services. I sent the deck. Here's my link for the intro call, and then we jump on an intro call. That's the air quote.
Awesome. And you, listener, you'll get to see this develop as you follow Maia through the series. And I think I mentioned before, I'm gonna have Maia come like teach some stuff in DYF about how to do social media, because I don't know how to do social media. So I'll have her teach some Instagram stuff. So we won't get too deep in it today, but let's keep talking about that state, because I want to like follow the state and then dive kind of deep through all your like ups and downs, roller coasters, that kind of thing. So you said prior to joining, you were feeling like you're just overwhelmed, throwing spaghetti at the wall, that kind of thing. And then what were the differences in your emotional state and like the things you were struggling with at like after late May, like starting when you joined and then over the past 6 months? How did that stuff change?
I think it was really clear what I had to do and was to get really good at one thing, or like really good at my services, like understanding how to do it from onboarding to offboarding. And I guess like my biggest thing was like, whoa, okay, I have to show up. Like now I need leads. And I think we said it like last time that we talked, that in the beginning, my problem was that I had no leads. And now my problem is that I have too many leads. And that's all
Yeah.
because I started showing up and I started like posting videos of me working. And I built that authority of saying like, everyone, like, I'm not going to say why you need branding. I'm just going to say like why working with me is going to be more than branding. It's going to be like falling in love with your business and building a business from a place of like love and connection, instead of just like, here's your logo, go have fun. And that really
Yeah.
worked because it attracted the right people, not only for clients, but also I built a community and I built this authority that now people ask me questions that it's like, wow, I never thought that I was going to be this person, because I just didn't think I was going to use Instagram for that.
Mm. And what, so like, what's, would you say is the emotional theme for, I don't know, like July or something like that? So you'd been in the Accelerator a couple months, you'd start to get some early wins. Like, I'm just trying to figure out kind of the trajectory of the time that you've been here and how your emotional state's changed and the challenges have changed.
I want to say uncertainty because everything felt new, but it's not uncertain because I knew I was on the right track. But every single new client, it was like my first like blank page contract instead of just sending like a whatever template. My first like blank page kickoff call. Like I started to systemize more of the things and creating all those steps for like onboarding, offboarding, marketing, everything that has to do with like how I do it was difficult to do it for the first time. It was first time everything. I think June, July, August, until September or August that I started like working with other people that I was like, okay, I've done this enough. I can have other people also do it because there's a technique, there's a like framework.
What would you say your biggest learning experiences or transformations or like aha moments were? It's hard without us looking back at the individual session notes. Maybe I'll pull them up in a minute, but like, I mean, I think the biggest one that sticks out to me is when I told you to just track your time and make sure you're spending, I don't remember if it was 5 or 10 hours a week, but when I first told you 5, okay. So tell you have to spend 5 hours a week on Instagram and you have to track it. I feel like that was the biggest one, and it was also the earliest one. What sticks out to you?
Yeah, that and deciding to like enjoy those 5 hours. I think the one of the biggest aha moment is like your business is going to be like the longevity of your business is going to depend on your community and how much you show up in there, and not just like your clients, your audience, your leads. It's like, that's my community. That'd be the first one. And then I think the second one would be mastery. Like, don't try everything all the time. Once something works, make it like stick to it, perfection it, run it enough times that you can literally outsource and just have someone do it for you. But the moment that I stopped saying, oh, I'm going to try this new service. No, I'm going to launch a community. I'm going to do a course. I said, no, I'm going to get really good at branding and at mentoring. Boom. I have 3 services. I don't have any more. I don't think I'm going to build my offer suite more, but that's my aha moment. Like, stick with a good service.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as people listen, they'll see, I think maybe 4 to 6 occasions where you show up and you're like, hey, Zach, I have this new thing I want to do. Can I do it? And then I try to find a nice way to say no. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that is a really nice takeaway too, is this whole past 6 months, your rates have gone up so much. So you are charging $4,200 now for what you were charging $888 for before, or actually maybe even less. 888 might have been a milestone too.
888 for 1,000 for branding. Oh my God, 1,000.
That's what it was before.
Yeah. 1,000. Yeah. Don't try this at home. 1,000 for branding, and now 4.2K.
Yeah, and that came from 2 things. It came from lead flow and from like service quality leading to confidence. So maybe 3 things. But the more you roll a ball in one direction, like it's like a snowball, right? Like it just gets bigger and bigger. And the more that you have excess demand through your leads, the more you can charge. And that's been basically the past 6 months with Maia distilled into one sentence, I feel like. And I'm really grateful that you didn't divest your attention as much as you sometimes wanted to, because you're seeing the benefits of that now. So thank you for trusting me on that front, even though I felt like kind of a douche sometimes saying no when I was poo-pooing your ideas.
It was so helpful. And for you, listener, if you show up at the office hours, like, he's going to piss you off. Like, it's going to be like, no, you have to do this. This is what you think you have to do. You don't have to do this. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, yes, this is it. Like, he was right. So,
I tried to invite you, though. I tried to just invite you to do as I like.
But here's the thing.
What other transformations or big like learning experiences stick out to you?
Investing on a team, and not so much investing money, because I want to pay them more, but I am training them, and I'm spending a lot of money recording trainings, having them to see my process. I have a really beautiful like Notion page where it's like our community. We show up every Monday and then talk there. We do a monthly retro. We have meetings. Like, I've invested in them, and I see that they're so invested in Blank Page. And I never wanted to hire. I never said I'm hiring. The three of them, because of my lifestyle content, because of my newsletter, because of my personality on Instagram, they reach out to me and they say, I want to work with you. So if you have someone like that in your life that is like, I love your style, I want to work with you, invest in that. That's the sign to go for it. And it's the accountability, is the companionship, because it's a fucking lonely road. Building a team is one of the best things I've done in my life.
And I think something I've seen you do, you have done a much better job at your first crack at building a team than I did at my first crack at it years ago. And I think that something that is a secret to your present success as well as my present success is you were talking earlier about a bridge job. It's always been my dream to run the kind of company where, instead of like trying to, trap team members forever and that kind of thing, to instead run the kind of company where there are good SOPs in place. So if someone wants to leave, they train their replacement. And instead of trying to hold on to people forever, if they want to grow their own businesses, instead having the role of my company be to empower people to grow their dream business. And that's like one of the ways that my business provides value to the team, is like through mentorship and leveling up. And Maia, you talked earlier about a bridge job. Something that I think you're doing well, that I try to do as well, is like looking at how you can make the jobs that you're offering to your team members be their bridge jobs for their dream business. And that's, I think, something worth saying is like, I think when seeing Maia's margins and seeing what she's paying versus what she's charging, I think all of us go through a little bit of imposter syndrome with that kind of thing. Like, oh, it's not fair for me to make more money off of my team than I pay them. But the fact is, if you don't have margins, you will go out of business, and your team will thereby not be able to get paid anything because you are out of business. And so by finding a way to like pay what is a good wage for the person's level of experience, and also compensate them through mentorship and training and helping them level up, like, people find motivation for their work through a lot more facets than just dollars. Some people.
Totally. And they know that. Like, my investment with them, of course, I could say, spend 30 hours on this, I don't touch it. Like, they would do an amazing job. They're incredible designers. But the mentorship is the part. I want them to have the mindset, the skill set to go on a sales call, sell it, have the secret sauce of Blank Page. And that takes time. So I see it more of a time investment now, and I coach them every month individually, checking with them all the time. Like, I'm really invested in their career. And even though I always tell them, like, I don't want Blank Page to be a ceiling. This is I paint the picture of an uncapped ceiling pretty much. And Luisa wants to open a marketing department in Blank Page, which I've never want to do anything that has to do with marketing for anyone, And I know that Anna and Mali, like, they're going to open their own department, or they're going to run my own department branding when I'm doing product and coaching. So that's the uncapped ceiling for them. And my advice is, like, if you have someone that is that invested in the future of your company, that's the gem. That's the biggest gem you can have.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm looking at some of the other things I have down. One question
there's so many gems from this 6 months. Like, I could talk for 3 hours on what I've learned from my first year in business.
Yeah. It's wild to think that this is your first like proper year in business. That's really crazy. If you hadn't joined So like sometimes I think about how my role as a coach, it feels like I don't know if you've ever heard the metaphor that for airplanes, pilots, like they're constantly making micro adjustments, like small course corrections where like a 1 degree difference would have you like wind up at your destination versus like in Japan, pretending that your destination is not Japan. You know, so you're trying to go somewhere far in Japan, now you're in Japan. And that their whole job is to like make these micro adjustments to keep the plane going actually straight. Sometimes I feel like that's what I do as a coach. Like that's like all I do as a coach is I see, oh, Maya started to point her boat towards this like random fucking community thing she wants to do. Well, let's steer the boat a little bit back towards the main one. What do you think you'd be doing right now if I never pointed your boat in these different directions? Like, what do you think you'd be up to?
Oh my God. So I think I would have spent a fortune on a website that would be just collecting dust. Um, I would have my case studies in place probably, but no one to show them to. And maybe I would have even like rejected the idea of like using Instagram for a blank page because I always thought I'm going to come back, but I'm only going to promote Colectiva, my free project. So I think I'll be doing a lot of that. And I don't think I would have worked so hard in developing my offer ecosystem. I think I would have been just like the Spanish would say todera, like a everything person, you know, like I do everything. Oh yeah, you need a web design, I'll do it, you know, how to do a web design. And instead of just like not even niching down, because I don't believe in that, just like narrowing down my expertise and just being known as the go-to person for a like I don't even know how to say it, but like the go-to person to harness the power of like your online presence through branding that is more than a logo.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. So a lot of your clients now are coming from your like personal branding on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And so you have this distribution of clients where like many of them are coaching clients. Many of the clients who hire you want to create the kind of business you're running now. Mm-hmm. Do you think, like, is there any way, I'm thinking of like the chocolate company that you've worked with and stuff like that. Those kinds of clients, like, I don't know how to articulate the question very well, but I guess I'm just wondering that if someone's going this kind of personal branding route that you have, mm-hmm. is it going to naturally always necessarily attract coaching clients who want to start businesses like you're running? Or is there a way to still have the personal branding that are attracting random chocolate companies who like, they're not trying to become a designer. They just want design services for their chocolate company?
Well, I think that's why I have my two services, Essence and Basecamp. Basecamp clients are normally guys that have a product and they just want to launch and then they don't want to know anything about me. And like, thank you. I love those type of clients, but Essence people are going to stay with me. Most of my Essence like graduates are going to be my mentees. And it's why these people, they launch their brand, but they also want the support to build then their offer ecosystem, pricing, time tracking, everything that you've told me, honestly, because a lot of like my coaching sessions with my clients, like I always reference things that we talk about. So that's the route that they're taking. Okay, I have the business now, but what the fuck do I do? And Basecamp is not so much like that.
And so your personal branding orientation has still produced Basecamp clients, like pretty consistently.
Yeah, because of the case study. Like there, Basecamp people are there. Basecamp is my package design for those who don't know, and it's basically like, I like your design, I like your case study, I like your style. Let's do this. Goodbye. Essence is more like, oh, I went to one of your workshops. I love it. I'm in your community. I love it, and that's why they decide to do Essence or coaching with me.
And the people who are hiring you just for Basecamp, like they're still just organically finding you on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Cool. Good. I just wanted to like tick that box for people who are listening. They're like, well, I don't want to do the personal branding thing. Like it seems like it still is
Instagram
viable.
is great. Yeah, Instagram is amazing. Yeah. And then the referrals is amazing on Instagram because you talk so much about designing, you talk so much about your POV that people are going to remember you. When people are talking about it, it's like, oh, I know a person that does branding. You want to be that person. You want to be the person that people
that
reference.
Makes a lot of sense.
The only person that people follow that is talking about branding is probably me for a lot of people. So they're like, oh, I know this girl. I don't really know her, but I like what she posts.
Yeah.
Here's that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like that domain authority because it's like, I feel like that's one of the things about authority that's so valuable is that it's like this knowledge that this is their thing. Like Maya's not going to just tomorrow decide she doesn't do design work anymore. You see her as like, this is what she does, and she will indefinitely continue to do this. And she's like very publicly doing this. It just kind of comes with inherent trust, and people feel more comfortable recommending that versus if she didn't have such a public presence around the fact that she is a designer, there's less of that natural confidence.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So I feel like we've got a really nice picture of like some of your transformation stuff. I'm trying to think of like what other things we wanted to cover. You were mentioning like off the recording some stuff about burnout and things like that. So let's chat about that, especially since I kind of like air quotes forced you to work more. So what was that stuff you were starting to tell me about burnout?
I think it's very common to hear this advice that it's like, oh, you're starting a business, you need to work weekends. Oh, of course, it's my first year in business, I need to burn out. And it's like, I never wanted to burn out my adrenals while I was building a business, and I still did it, and I still like have a very sustainable business. I always say that Blank Bitch is super low maintenance, and it's because I started that from the beginning. Like, even though I didn't work less than 20 hours as I wanted to, because that's unrealistic, let's be honest, especially with personal projects and building a team. But there are ways, like, you don't need to burn out on your first year in business. You need to take as much rest as possible. You need to, like, listen to your body. But yeah, listen to your body. Like, the days that you're just like overworking, you can table it. You can keep working the next day. Like, your business is not going to fall apart because you don't finish that service deck in one day. You have the freedom to build over time. And sometimes things that you table in 2 months, they make sense because these are big pivots. So you really, really need to be connected with it, and you need to be well rested. And you can tell, like, now I follow a lot of entrepreneurs, and you can just tell on Instagram who's burned out and who has a healthy lifestyle. And you want to choose a healthy lifestyle from day one. You don't have to eat this thing that people say that it's like, no, you need to work on weekends. Oh, I'm working on weekends because it's my personal thing. I love it so much. It's like, that's not healthy. You need to rest.
Yeah, and I think that something that you've done well that like ties into that nicely is that by just doing what's working and by having data on what's working after I forced you to track your time, it allowed, and the narrowing scope that you talked about, it allowed you to essentially do what is essentialism, right? Like, that's the whole thing about essentialism, is you just do the shit that's working and you don't do the other ones. And what would you say that, like, my guess would be that if you were to say what's essential, it would essentially be do your 5 hours a week on Instagram and do a good job on your Basecamp clients and don't abandon your coachees. Like, what is you say you avoid burnout, you haven't been working weekends and stuff. Like, what allowed you to be able to get to such a high income level without spending all that time?
To build as little as possible. Like, build, if you have an idea, narrow it down to the simplest little thing. And that's how you do it. Yeah, like, you can do so much with just a link in bio, a newsletter sign up thing, a deck that you can create on InDesign or like Canva even. Like, those 3 things, that is business. And Calendly, or like a place to have intro calls. Literally, you have everything. Like, you have your social platform, you have your 5 hours of Instagram or whatever platform you choose. You do that for 5 hours. You talk to people. You don't pitch. You don't sell. You pitch and you show your expertise. You show your POV, and you establish yourself as an authority. From there, people are going to talk to you. So you have a sign-up form where people can download your service deck. So you have those leads on your newsletter. And then you have the deck that they're going to get. And then you have a Calendly or a link for people to meet. And those 5 things are going to allow you to build a business without even a website. My website,
yeah, that's great.
Never books anything. Like, never books absolutely anything. The things that have allowed me to book is one-on-one pitching with this deck.
What's so funny about this is like Cobbler with the dirty shoes and whatnot. I gave you that freaking advice to not build premature scaffolding, right? Like that, yes. People see this. I think on the very first episode, I made up this whole term for premature scaffolding based on our conversation, because you wanted to build out the website, you want to build all this stuff, and then that was like a big breakthrough. But what's funny is, like, hearing you say this now, I'm like, gosh, I overcomplicate shit. I spend too much time on scaffolding. So it's so funny that I'm like, ooh, Maia makes some really good points. I should take her advice. I'm like, wait a minute, I gave her that advice. I should take the advice she's giving me from me. But yeah, that's so cool to see. Like, And as people will find in a few months worth of episodes, like you've even taken this to an extreme with the community. So Maia runs a community now, but she doesn't have Circle or any crap like we do. She literally has a Telegram group where she just like has these messages going back and forth. And how many people came to your goal setting workshop?
Okay, so the Instagram group has 230 people, literally. And I just send journaling prompts every day, and it's amazing. Like there's so many people. I put people on pods so they meet each other. I'm not in the pods, but it's pretty cool. To my journaling workshop, 50 people showed up, and 300 people have downloaded the recording. Wow. It's insane. I have 5,000 followers. Like that's a huge conversion rate. That's a huge engagement rate. And it's because I talk to people. Every single person that follows me, I follow them back. Like I know this, maybe I don't know if this is good advice, but I do that because I don't know if there's someone that are going to like reach out and say, hey, this really resonated with me. Or maybe I even go on their page and the page is amazing. And I reach out and I say, oh my God, you've traveled to so many cool places, whatever. Like I always do it because it's like being social. That is what being social is. That is a network. Every single person that follows you is a community member. Not even a lead, just a community member.
Yeah, I just marked this as a gem. Be actually social on social media. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
But I don't do it.
Right?
It's very smart. Like it's the thing that made you say, Zach, your strategy isn't going to work, where I'm just one directionally posting like podcast shorts. That's the secret, it seems, is the social.
Yeah, but I think it also has to do with the personality of people. Because like I'm the type of person that I would go to a party and I would like meet 30 girls in the bathroom of a party and have them in my house for another party the next day. That's my personality. So you don't have to develop this personality, but like push yourself to be a little bit more social, or even like look for people in your industry and message them. That's super important.
Cool. What would you say, like if somebody's looking at ratios of their time, like if I could spend my 5 hours on Instagram, and like what percentage, just like how I told you, Maia, don't go build your website. It's not the priority right now. If I spend 5 hours a week creating beautiful designs for my Instagram page, but I don't actually go connect with anyone, presumably that's not the right call. So like what kind of ratios, I know you don't like to give out these kinds of prescriptive things, but if you were to paint a ratio, if I'm trying to think of how I want to spend my 5 hours a week, like what percentage should I be focused on me projecting crap versus actually connecting with people?
Yeah, so I would say the ratio varies because in the beginning I didn't post any in-feed posts. I was just doing stories because stories is the way that you connect with people one-on-one, and post is like when new people are coming, they see what you're about. If you're not having any new person coming, you need to be doing 5 hours on stories, building your highlights, like just stories, just communicate with the people that you already have, following people. Like I would just do the 5 hours like that. And then when you kind of know your content themes, we can talk about content themes like in the workshop of the Accelerator one day. But like when you map out the things that you and your audience have in common by doing stories and by talking to these people, then you can start posting so people know what you're about. Because actually, like it's kind of the same as scaffolding. If you start posting from zero, it's like you're building this like website that maybe in 2 months you're gonna completely change the way that you show up. And when you start doing it on stories and very little and talking to people and seeing what people are resonated with on your stories, then you understand, okay, people love my simple living approach. One of my pillars is simple living. Work and play balance is another pillar because I know that people are super interested in that. Self-reflection. And then you notice that none of my pillars are typography, design, freelancing, even nothing. It's just lifestyle things that people connect, but your overall filter is always going to be, I am a freelancer. I make my living off my design. That's like the big umbrella, and then the other ones are the small. So starting with stories, I'd say the ratio is 5 hours on stories. Then, as you develop like your content themes and as you understand your audience, then you start doing like maybe 3 hours designing posts and inbound, outbound engagement, and then 2 hours just like doing stories every day. It takes like 20 minutes to create like a lot of good stories every day.
But if I don't have any followers, wouldn't nobody see my stories?
Well, you have to have followers. Like you're going to start talking to people. You're going to start following people. Like you're going to follow real people. I don't believe in hashtags. I don't believe in like blowing up because of a reel. The people that you see that they blow up because of a reel and they rely on that virality, yeah, they have a lot of followers, but they don't have engaged followers. If you are using Instagram to make sales, then why do you care having more people? Why don't you focus on the 100 people that you have and just like connecting with them? No one has 0 followers. No one. Because you know people in your real life. Like there are people. I just wouldn't focus on like growth yet. I would just focus on like the one-on-one connection, understanding it, and then like going into carousels. I guess this is a bit controversial because people always would focus on like reach and growth and virality, but I would focus on the actual people that you have now instead of trying to grow. Does that make sense?
It does, but what if you have like, let's just hypothetically say that you create it, you don't import your contacts or whatever, so you actually have literally 0, or you have maybe 10, and your mom is one of them. For that first phase, is it more about like going out and liking people's pages and commenting on their stuff and like alongside stories, or what's the part where you're going out and looking for people versus posting stories?
Well, I think, okay, so you have 5 hours. I think in the beginning, I would do maybe like 2 hours inbound, outbound, just being on the explore page. You like someone, you follow them, you text them, hey, I really like your page, na. And then the other, I mean, if you have 0 followers, okay, if you're starting the page from 0, you have 0 followers, 0 posts, post 3 things. Post 3 things. Photo of you, what the page is about, maybe your logo. Write a little caption. There is a landing page. There is a space to know what you're about. Little bio, link in bio. That's it. From that, you start following people, you start connecting, you start socializing. It's like moving to a new town, you know? People don't know anything about you. And then you start messaging them, and then you start posting stories, and you see how people react to your stories, and then you start making content out of it. But you need to socialize. You're not gonna go viral. You're not gonna grow with like 3 posts. You need to meet real people.
So let's quantify for socialize. So let's say I'm starting with 0. And I know we'll go into this more in our like how to do Instagram training, but I just want to kind of paint the picture, because this is something that you told me just a few weeks ago, that you personally use Instagram as a like user where you just swipe through and look at stuff. And that you said you like retargeted it so that time was also fueling your business. Like you're careful about what you look at so that it's productive. But for someone like me, who's a total newbie to social media, like you say, like go out and interact with people. Like, I don't know what that even means, right? So if you were to say, Zach, you have 0 followers, you have 5 hours this week. Of that 5 hours, you should spend blank on stories, and you should spend blank interacting with people. Like, what does interacting mean? So it means like go to the explore page, find someone who's doing the kind of thing I want to do, a kind of person who I like, and I just like send them a message saying like, hey, I like your stuff, it's so cool. Or like, what exactly
That's it.
does that interaction look like?
Yeah, like genuine, you know, like when you see someone that you like the stuff that they're doing, you can just comment, hey, I love this stuff, you know, and then that person's going to catch your eyes, and then they're going to go follow you. So I'd say do that until you have like 100 followers. And there's a lot of routes. There's a lot of people that are going to tell you, oh, you have to use hashtag, you have to make reels, you have to make short reels so they go viral. But do you want virality, or do you want longevity? You know, do you want just something that is viral and just goes down, or do you want legacy? That's what I'm talking about, because practicing, even if there's just one person listening, that person, like, I understand now the algorithm. People that have been following me for 3 years, now they're starting to want to work with me. And there's people that I met traveling, or people that I met at a party, and I saved their Instagram, and now they're like, oh, this girl, wow, I've seen them do this, I want to work with them. So Instagram is really an investment. It's really a time investment. It's really a community investment. And I'd say it's for people that see the value on having a community. If what you want is leads, then I say LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, they're perfect. Paid ads. But if you want a community, if you want longevity, if you want something that is like an ecosystem, Instagram's amazing. I think I could say, like, if I want to say something else about Instagram, I think I do want to say, like, there is absolutely no cookie cutter formula. The secret to it is really pay attention to your community, notice, and like pay attention to like answering your messages, clicking on filter, answer every single message every day, and making stories that have to do with like what you're living at the moment. Like, don't try to sell, just like how can you position yourself as a resource for your audience.
That seems like a nice place to move on from, and we'll do a training on it. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, I wish she said more, she will soon somewhere else, just not here. So Maia, for the scope today, neither of us have even cried yet, by the way. You cried before we even started. That makes me feel like I asked the wrong questions.
I know,
like,
I'm trying to keep my shit together.
What should I have asked to make you cry? I should close by asking that. What should I have asked to make you cry?
Mm, I think like even talking about the future makes me teary because it's just so filled with possibility.
Hmm.
So maybe like painting the picture of like the future blank page without suck.
So tell me about that. What's the future looking like for you at this point?
Um, well, I'm gonna keep working. My team is consolidated. I don't need anyone else. Maybe a project manager, but I don't need it at the moment. I fucking love the girls with all my heart. Um, I am going to continue training them so they're more in the client facing era and they're like receiving clients, pitching projects, booking projects themselves, coming on intro calls, coming into all my calls with me so they can do start to finish branding projects with the blank page secret sauce. Maybe I'll walk in for the strategy. I'm going to launch a course and I am super excited about that. I know I'm going to be running that course maybe twice a year. And I am going to move more into products and Notion templates for simple living and digital organization and just like or helping freelancers feel organized.
Awesome. And what, like, when you look back at the past 6 months and the growth and things like that, like, is there anything we didn't talk about that you wish we did, or anything that you want to share, or big things about your journey before someone goes and listens to the next 6 months worth of episodes you want them to like keep an eye out for? Like, just basically anything you wish I had asked that I didn't.
Mm-hmm. I just want to make a side note that investing in coaching and courses is the best thing that I've done because every single, and people would say that I'm wrong, but then I research a little bit of like Amazon's history and it's very similar. Um, every single cent that I would have, I would put it into a course, coaching, another course, a community. And what I did this year was just to educate myself. And I invested it all, like 70% of the money that I made, I've invested in my team and I'm invested in coaching and courses and everything. So the first year in business is about learning. And I'm just starting to be at the phase where I'm like, I don't need any more courses. I can teach a course now, but I think it's super important to get coached and to get like that, what you're saying, the airplane thing is so easy to derail when you're doing everything by yourself. And the community, the courses, the networking also, being in communities is super important the first year to not feel alone and to not derail.
And something I think you've done a great job at like, to add to the course thing, is I think learning is great, but I think implementation is the most important part. And that's something that a lot of people fall off on. And I think it can be easy to get overwhelmed with only being in learning mode, but actually putting it into practice is what makes the difference. And you have, from what I've seen.
Learn by doing. And once you get a coach that makes you do shit, just stick with them, really. Because it's super important to have someone that tells you, okay, by next week, I want you to do this. What did you do next week? Okay, you didn't do anything. And it's pretty much what we've been doing together. And it's what a course with homework does. And it's how I want to frame my course, homeworks, lectures, homework, lectures, homework. And it's important to learn by doing. It's the only way to learn is just to do it. And it's going to be very scary, but every single thing that we want is at the other side of fear. So it's super important to traverse that and say, okay, this is the first time I'm going to do everything when you start a business, but you can change fear for excitement. It's really easy to just like do that mindset shift.
Yeah, there was this hack that I learned from Brian Johnson from Heroic that was like, whenever you're feeling fearful, say like, I'm excited. And that you can just say that and it'll help. It doesn't always help, but it helps a little bit, maybe gradually.
I mean, it works. Like I'm fucking scared of launching a course. It's super like, oof, I can't believe I'm gonna do it, but I have to do it because I have to go through that because I know I want it. So for an entrepreneur, it's important to be able to say my desire is at the other side. So I have to do it. Just because I have a dream, I already have a compromise to doing it.
Something Cassie from Cassie's Cure said on my first podcast episode with her, which was like me pushing through fear anyway, is like, she said like, I already know what it's like to not do the thing. Now maybe I'll see what it's like to do the thing. I liked that. I think about that a lot. So something that strikes me with the coaching thing with both you and Brad that I want to find a way to reproduce within the normal accelerator, but it's difficult because it is a group coaching community. Like a lot of what has worked so well here is that I made you commit before we did this whole thing that you have to come every week and you can't give up, because I don't want to do this whole series if you're going to just disappear after 3 months. So if someone's thinking about joining the accelerator, what do you think is the way to reproduce that level of commitment that you get because like we are doing a thing together, so that they don't just come for a few sessions while they're excited and then disappear through the cracks? Or what do you think I should do to make sure people don't do that, other than maybe just emailing them and nagging them and trying to build a systematic way to do that? But like, yeah, what do you think someone should commit to themselves before getting into coaching? Like, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do actually, because I've thought about it. And I feel like what you and I have is like, I feel very VIP. I feel very lucky. I feel very like, yeah, part of the accelerator, but Accelerator Plus, because you saw that I have potential, and you believing in me already made me want to do the thing. Because A, I don't want to disappoint you, and B, I don't want to disappoint myself, because I want to believe in, like, I want to see what you see on me. So maybe opening something that is like Accelerator office hours, but then Accelerator Plus office hours. This is for people that are going to commit 6 months to be in the accelerator. I will follow your journey closely, and we're going to have a more in-depth, and we're going to like track it more. Whereas the other office hours is more like, oh, maybe I come once a week, once a month. Maybe I just check in what's up. Maybe I have a very like specific questions about my business. And then the Accelerator like Plus or Accelerator 6
Accelerator
Plus.
Intense.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm sure you're going to have a great name. That would be more like you have to sign that you're going to come here for 6 months.
Accelerator, Zach will come to your house and murder you if you don't attend.
Exactly.
TM.
Exactly. And you can put like, you can give the context, like I did it with Brad and Maia and it was great. They both reached 6 figures. I'm not saying you're gonna reach 6 figures, but if you wanna commit to something and do it, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, that's dope. So I guess the question is, Maia, if someone's thinking of joining, this is like just teeing up a testimonial, but if someone's thinking of joining, do you think they should, or do you think, nah, stupid?
For sure. I mean, I loved my office hours. Like, I would look forward to my office hours. And I was the type of person that I was like reading other people's, because we do like a check-in every week, like goal setting and stuff. And I would like read other people's, and I'd be like, oh, this is really motivating. I don't do it as much now. I'm not that I'm doing the podcast, but I'm going to go back to that. And it's just reassuring that other people are also on their journey, and listening to other people's like office hours was really cool. It's a really unique community, and yeah, recommend it. I mean, I have a 6-figure business because of it. So
awesome. So what else do you wish I'd asked? Anything else you want to share? Anything people should have on their mind when they listen to your regular episodes? Anything else before we go?
I think my biggest takeaway is build as little as possible. You know, like Zach calls it scrappy. I call it slashy. That is like, if you have an idea, how can you narrow it down as little as possible? Say, okay, this is great. Maybe it doesn't look so amazing, but I'm going to see if it worked, and build as it's working. And you will be so amazed how a little seed is going to grow into something that you say, okay, I want to commit to this full time. This is so beautiful. I want to build it out. I know that this works because it's worked in smaller scale. And I think why a lot of people don't pursue their personal projects is because they're so like focused on the launch, on this like grand opening with balloons and like the sign and everything. And it's like, no, build a prototype. Send it to your mom, what do you think of it? Your friends, your partners. And then from there, start doing it to people that seem interested, and you communicate, hey, this is a beta thing. I've never done it. I'm going to give you an offer, but try it. Let me know what you think of it. And then from there, you start building bigger things, but always start.
Yeah. And I think like paradoxically, productizing and narrowing your focus and saying like, I just do this one thing. This is the only thing I do. I don't do web design and graphic design and logo design and branding design and coaching and blah, blah, blah. Like, I just do this one thing. I do branding. It like people usually are hesitant to do it because they feel like they're going to run out of leads and they're going to run out of clients and there's no way they can get enough business doing just this one thing. But kind of paradoxically, it makes it much easier to talk about it. Like when you focus on less, there's more to talk about.
Absolutely.
There's more to write content about. There's more to interact with people about, because now suddenly you have a thing to like look for. You have a thing, a thread to pull. Whereas if you just have a whole sweater, like how do you even pull a thread out of a sweater? You just have to grab it in the middle. I don't know. But if there's just one loose thread, you just pull that one. So
Absolutely.
I think that's a cool thing to chew on. Well, do we say goodbye then, Maia? Is there anything else you want to add? I mean, we can talk after the interview, so you don't have to, it's not like really goodbye, but goodbye publicly. Is there anything else you want to say before I hit stop?
No, I'm just so grateful, and I still can't believe that I built my business this year and I have a 6-figure business. It feels crazy to say it. So super grateful.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how long it even takes for you to get to the 7-figure level. My guess, I'm putting it out there right now, my guess is 2 years for 7 figures. God. It doesn't have a nice ring to it, 2 years to 7 figures. I wish I could say 7 months, but I don't think it's going to have one. But I'm guessing 2 years. But it is crazy seeing the growth so far, yeah.
So yeah, super, super, super grateful, super excited. And it's going to be so cringy to hear the first episodes, but enjoy. I'm sure people are going to learn so much from it. And yeah, super grateful, really. This has been such a good opportunity for me to grow. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much for coming on this journey, Maia. I appreciate you showing up, putting in the work. There was, I think, one period where you were having a rough week and you were like, dude, just be nice today. But you stuck with it and you've seen some great results. So thank you so much for coming on this journey with me and being so coachable. It's been really awesome working with you. And our sessions are a highlight of my week too. So it's been great.
Aww.
There we go. I made her cry in the end after all. All right. So with that, we will end this episode. And I guess that's it, right? All right. Maia's crying. So I'll just say goodbye for both of us. Thank you for being here. Goodbye, everybody. I will hit stop, Maia, and I will not disconnect. See ya. Alrighty. So if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, leave good reviews, that kind of thing, and tell us what you resonated with the most. It won't affect the content because your 6 months has already been recorded, but I would still be interested to hear. And as a reminder, if you want to get coaching just like this, you can check out the DYF Accelerator community, which includes live 20-minute Zoom coaching with me each week, like what you'll see me doing with Maia. And you also get access to like the big old archive of all the past recordings and stuff. If you want to check that out, it's dyf.link/DYFA. And if you want to learn more about Maia's business, she's on Instagram at MaiaBen, which is MaiaBen, or at blankpagelab.io. We'll also be doing some training together soon on social media stuff. I want to have her come in and teach us about like basically how to reproduce her success on Instagram. So keep an eye out for free content there and some sort of like Instagram marketing course soon. So thanks for being here and see you in the next one.